The queen says, I'll be okay no matter what, and either path you take is sacred. The world has taught us some of the most fundamentally useless ways of thinking about success that actually go against our biology when it comes to achievement and happiness, success and peace. We are taught to push through pain at any cost, to use pressure to persist, focus on the goal, and do whatever it takes to get there. This is useful if the goal is to not starve to death. But success by any means necessary comes at a remarkable cost to our future self. Our mantra around here is not a penny from pressure, only pleasure. The More Alive podcast exists to lead us into a new way of achieving and replace outdated advice that threaten the dream life that actually makes us feel more alive. I'm your host, Andrea Crowder, mom, truth teller, and lover of daydreaming, here to help create a world where we all feel more alive. Welcome to the show. What's up? What's up? Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about handling conflict with the spine of a queen. I don't know a single person who doesn't stress around conflict, especially when it's with people that we love, that we admire, that we adore, that we want to preserve the connection with. It is one of the most difficult things on the planet because we have to deal with a crazy amount of emotions while we are trying to speak our truth, while we're trying to preserve connection, while we are trying to resolve something, especially if it's been something that's coming up with somebody, if it's a family member. I mean, we're going into Thanksgiving next week, so like the timeliness of this conversation is like, okay, this is because sometimes Instagram does weird things with content and we record an amazing live and then we don't know where it goes. And so I was like, you know what, let me just go ahead and put this on the podcast. If you guys are seeing me look this way, it's because I'm making sure that all of this ends up on the podcast later on. So if you're like, oh my God, I wasn't able to listen to the whole thing, I want to go back. I want to listen again because there's just like more for you to get. This will be one of those episodes that you can go back and listen to a few times. You'll get something different each time. Or if you're like, I want to share this with a friend. Here's the caveat. We don't share with people because we're hoping that they're going to get a lesson that will make our lives easier. We're going to talk about that because that's part of the reason conflict doesn't go so well for people. It's like when we initiate something from a place of control of like, please get this lesson so that my life is easier, so that I have less stress, so that I feel safe, so that I feel okay. It never goes well. So hang on a second. Let me hit record just to make sure if there's like a loss in connection, if the video doesn't save, that this shit get saved as well. Okay, so what does it mean to hold the spine of a queen during conflict? Essentially, all this means is that when you're speaking from your heart, when you're speaking your truth, when you're sharing something that's been on your heart with another person, that deep inside your soul, that your physical state, your emotional state, your spiritual state, and your mental state all agree, no matter what, I'm going to be okay. This is one of the most difficult things to do. I would dare say that it requires an elite level of self-leadership. And when you are able to execute that fully sovereign spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical knowingness that whatever occurs on the other side of this, I know that I'll be okay, you are starting from a premier starting point. This is like a level 1, like A+ athlete. I don't know. A legacy athlete. Like this is like, I know I'm good no matter what. I'm going into this. I'm playing to win. I'm not playing not to lose. This is where most people go wrong, is they go into conflict playing not to lose, meaning their defenses are up. They're afraid that they'll be judged. They're afraid that it's not going to go well. They're afraid that they're not going to be okay if this person doesn't listen to them, receive them, acknowledge them, meet them where they are. And then when we enter the playing field from a state of defense, we're already playing not to lose versus not to win. Ask any athlete if they stepped onto the field to win a Super Bowl and they won it by playing not to lose, right? Where our focus goes, attention flows. So let me tell you guys a little story about how I had this like realization, because I was married for 20 years and I can't think of a single time where I'm like, that conflict just went great. That conflict went amazing. It didn't happen. Like, we had a very loving marriage, and that like our connection was so close and so amazing. But it was like, I've always described my marriage, I'm now divorced if you guys don't know that about me, but like I've always described my marriage as like fire and ice. Like the highs are high and the lows were really low. And part of it is because I had no basic knowledge and understanding, true understanding of how to lead conflict resolution. And that's not because I didn't try. Like, I was reading the books. I was like, okay, what are the steps to conflict resolution? Like the I am statements versus like you are. Like, okay, I feel versus like you are. Like, I feel sad versus you're an asshole, or like you're not thinking of me, or like you're insensitive, or you're not doing your job if this is like a team member. Like, I did the studying. But raise your hand if you can remember any of those bullet points when you're upset. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, literally my ex-husband and I would pull out the bullet points of how we were supposed to speak to each other, because our emotions would cloud the situation so terribly that like we weren't able to focus on the steps. And then I'd be like, the steps, you're not following the steps. And now we're like criticizing each other because we're trying so hard to follow these steps to conflict resolution. And then our emotions cloud things and we're unable to do that. And then we're just like super critical of each other. This has to do with all conflict, whether it's like a family member. Again, like Thanksgiving is next week. So tune in, get present. If you can like just set the kids down for a second, if you can just stop thinking about work for a second, like this will change your life. Okay, so here's how I started to like get the message, to get the pattern, to understand like none of this shit's working, but here's the thing that I know will work. And as per most things, like you first have to like slide into the dirt on your face and like fuck it up before you're like, okay, this isn't working. Let me try some new paths. So I'm in this relationship with my amazing man. We have this incredible connection. We're together for about a year when we move in together, and our connection is just like so smooth. Like we had areas where there was like sensitive moments, but there was never really anything that we weren't able to talk through. Part of it was because I went into this relationship choosing to be more open, choosing to be like, I already had been like working on myself a ton. I was like, okay, I'm going to be more receptive. I'm going to be open. I'm going to like breathe into this relationship. I was terrified to like open myself and be vulnerable, but I'm like, you know what? I feel like God gave me the assignment. I'm going to take this assignment. I'm going to roll with it. Please, if I say anything and you guys are like, me too, please comment me too, because I'm going to share some like tough stuff, some vulnerable things that I'm like, I don't want to be alone. So we have this amazing relationship. We're like, let's move in together. My lease is about to be up. And I was like, should I renew this lease? I'm paying like over 5 figures a month for this place that I'm hardly at now. And then I'm mostly at your house. So we're like, you know what? Let's do it. I'm going to save this live, but it's also going to be on the podcast, you guys, just because sometimes shit happens. But it'll be on the podcast as well. So it'll be in both places. So we're moving in together, And we've had this year of like euphoria, essentially. Like, there's nothing I can't get through with this man. I've already been really vulnerable. There's been some tough moments where like I've really opened up to him. I've like learned to trust him. I've learned to lean on him in states of vulnerability and states of fear. I'm like, okay, like we had a really, really strong, solid base. So here's what happens. We move in together and my blueprint shifts. So I start with this blueprint of like, I'm going in with this identity of like, I can be receptive, I can be vulnerable, I can be this, and like, and I'm safe no matter what. I have that like internal sense of like, this is who I am, this is how life works for me, and this is how I achieve this life that I believe I can have. Like, we all have what I call like an identity I don't call it, but it's called an identity blueprint. Essentially, it's like the inner workings of our mind. The data is written as such, like, this is who I am. I'm Andrea. This is, and our blueprint can change. I'm sure your blueprint has changed significantly from the time you were born till now. But our identity says, this is who I am. This is what I can get in life. And this is how I get it. This is how I acquire it. Some people are like, I acquire, I can have wealth. I believe that. So I know that I can acquire it, but the way that I acquire it is through hard work, through 80 hours a week. That's the only way to do it, right? If the blueprint shifts, then we can build our house on using different materials, right? Like, we can build a different house when the blueprint shifts. So we all have this blueprint that says, this is how money works. This is how love works. This is how conflict works. This is how me getting my needs met works in any situation. Like, we all have this blueprint that says, this is who I am, this is what I can have, and this is how I get that. So I start with this blueprint of like, this is who I am. I get to have love. I get to have a love that like freezes time. I get to have this kind of man. I attract this man into my life for the first time ever. I'm like, oh my God, my identity shifts. Like, the person that I was before I met him was attracting, like, I was just like unavailable men or men with mental health disorders. So I'm going to use conflict through the language of like intimate love, but the process that I'm going to teach you works unanimously. It doesn't matter who it's with. Say yes if you're like, I'm on the same page, I'm with this. I'm like, I'm in it to win it. I'm here till the end, Andrea. My crush and your dude is blessed. Oh, that's cute. That's cute. I love it. Okay, so now we move in together and something happened I didn't anticipate. My blueprint shifted. Now I am in a more intimate space all the time. Like, I was at my man's house before, but it was his house. Now I move in and it's our house, and I don't have an identity that knows how to exist in the same way under the same roof when we're sharing. Before, it was like I was responsible for me, for my finances, for my bills, for my space. You're responsible for all of yours. When we blended that together, I didn't have an identity blueprint for that yet. I didn't consciously create one like I had before we went into our relationship about how I felt around receiving love. Now it's, how do I receive love while we coexist together and where we share responsibilities? This is where things got really sticky for me, because my old blueprint resurfaced, and that blueprint read as such: the way that you receive love is by being the person who gives 70% and they give 30%. And so what I started doing was like, I was like staying up nonstop. Like, I was like from 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning until super late at night. I was like cleaning, organizing. Like, I was so afraid to like leave my stuff in places. I didn't feel home yet. I didn't feel safe in this like shared space. And I started going back to like, work hard to receive love, be an overgiver to receive love, need less to receive love. And all of a sudden I started having these like dialogues in my mind of like, I'm showing up like this, he's not really showing up like that. I started feeling a little bit resentful. And then I started rehearsing these conversations where I'm like, I know what I'm going to say. I'm going to be like, you know what? I've done this, this, and this. This is martyr energy. Like, you start pulling receipts. I've done this, this, and this. And you're not meeting me here. And What was the thought? Oh, and then my inner dialogue was always, I don't ask for much. I kept saying that language over and over and over. Like, I don't ask for much. I'm like giving this much and I can't even get that much back. Right? Because all of a sudden my blueprint says for me to give all of this to him. And then I took up all of the same space of giving to myself. There was no space left for him because I wasn't allowed to need much in order to receive love according to my blueprint. He didn't start this. I did, right? Like what I went into the new dynamic of the relationship was what initiated this. He was like so confused. And then when I would approach him and we would have conversations and I would try to initiate conflict resolution, I would tell him how I felt and going into it thinking like, thank you for the me too. Going into it and I would say, I would express to him like what it was I was needing. And then I'm like reading all of this like masculine and feminine energy. And it's like the masculine should be able to hold like the sacred rage of the feminine. And I'm like, can't I just bring all of my emotions? Like you're supposed to like hold my storm and you're not holding my storm. Now I'm getting mad because he's not holding my storm. Such codependency. I'm like, ooh, I think maybe I misunderstood some of these books. Like my old blueprint is like screaming, please see me. Please tell me to sit the fuck down. Please tell me that it's okay for me to need more. But he didn't. All he did was he started telling me, can't you say this to me with a different tone? And I was like, literally, no. I'm not yelling at you. I would say it like this, but like, masculine, feminine stuff can feel so confusing. I think this will help create some clarity. It will create a new baseline for you to learn masculine and feminine energy with when you understand this work. Like you'll understand what to take and what to not take. Okay, so all he's doing is he's like, your tone. Like, why are you talking to me like that? And I'm like now gritting my jaw and holding my teeth together. And I'm getting so upset. My chest is like starting to feel such anger. I'm feeling so unseen. I'm feeling so unmet. I'm feeling so uncherished. I went from this like love that freezes time to all of a sudden this man is just like clocking me on my tone. And I'm like, if this man says one more thing about my goddamn tone, I'm gonna lose it. Because every time he said it, I got angrier and angry and angrier. So I would control my tone even more. And this went on for months to the point where I actually started looking at apartments. I'm like, maybe we just can't live together. You know, me falling in love, you know, in my 40s, I was like, I don't know, we don't have to live together. Like, why can't I just be in love and we both have our own place? Like, can we be neighbors? like, why? Why did I want that? Because I didn't know how to handle conflict. Because I thought that by controlling myself more, because I grew up in a house where like you control the tone, like I was like the bomb diffuser, right? Like anger started popping off, somebody might get hurt. So I start walking around and I'm like, diffuse, 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 diffuse. So I took that into my relationship where as soon as I saw him getting visibly upset, I was like, oh, we got to diffuse now. I went into defense and I started playing not to lose instead of playing to win. And I didn't even know what any of that meant, but you'll know by the end of it. If you're like, what the fuck does that mean? You'll know by the end. So he keeps calling me out on my tone. I'm now looking for apartments and I'm like, maybe this isn't what I thought it was. This is going to be embarrassing because he's the internet's boyfriend now. If you guys have followed me for a while, like the internet, like you guys like dubbed him the internet's boyfriend because he's so compassionate. He's so kind. He's so loving. He's so devoted. He's like, he truly is like such this like premium hearted human being And the whole time I'm like, okay, I know that. I know I have a great man. I know our relationship will make it through this. But right now I don't know how. Like, I could not see my way through the mud. Until I had this literal come to Jesus moment that like laid all the dominoes out on the table. And that moment was where I was sitting in the airport on my way back from an event, and I was feeling, again, really unmet by him. And I'm just like, are we ever going to get back to like the sweet love that we just are both so obsessed with that like makes our kids go, knock it off, mom. Like, we're all like, all the kids are like, gross, knock it off. But we hadn't been that like disgusting, like lovey-dovey couple in a little bit. We had kind of been like, hey, you know, I would walk up to him and I would hug him and hold him because it was like, hey, I just need to know if we're okay. It wasn't like I'm trying to create connection. It's like, I want to make sure I'm safe. I want to make sure that we're good. I was like constantly on eggshells, not because he was doing that to me, but because that's how I learned how to protect myself and to make sure that I was going to keep a connection that could keep love. Because here's what was true for me is I didn't know. And when I say no, I mean, like, this is why I call it spine of a queen. I didn't know with my whole spine that if we had a distortion, that I would be okay on the other side of it. It sent me into such an emotional state that I became so, I was like constantly like spin out. Am I okay? Are we okay? Am I okay? Are we okay? Like, I could hardly work. Like, I wasn't innovating. I wasn't creating. Like, it cost me money. I was having literally the worst financial months in my business ever. So I know none of us want to admit this, but like, if we don't think our personal life deeply, deeply impacts our purpose, we're wrong. We know it does, right? Like, when we become hyper fixated on like, what's going on? Are we okay? What do I say? How do I make this right? How do I fix this? How do I create how do I like restore a sense of like homeostasis and safety in the home? Like, it takes over. It does, doesn't it? It sucks. And I thought the entire time the answer was him. The dialogue, and I feel like this is true for so many women, but like, tell me if it's true or not true for you. Just say true or not true. But the dialogue that I was saying was, I do the work. He doesn't. He's the problem. I said that my whole 20-year marriage. If you guys didn't see my post from today, I literally tagged my ex-husband and I gave him a public apology. I was like, it's time. I apologized to my man. It's time I apologize to my ex-husband. I don't think he's seen it yet. He's not on Instagram much, but I was like, dang, I have some apologizing to do. My fear with owning where I was wrong before was that I had the sense of like, if I'm misunderstood, I'm in harm's way. That was a very vulnerable and scary place to be in. So, okay. So Keith calls me out on my tone. I have this come to Jesus moment. I'm in the Denver airport and I'm feeling really unmet. I'm thinking he's going to come pick me up from the airport. He doesn't, he says he's not. He says he has other plans. And my heart's breaking because I'm like, there's not a world in which in our old relationship that he wouldn't have been there to pick me up at 10 p.m. on a Saturday night. He would have been like, I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to take you out, be ready, or I'm going to be there with food. I'm going to feed you. I'm going to love you. I'm going to fuck you. I'm going to like give you orgasms and like everything is going to be all good. He's going to be so ready to just like pull me into him because his obsession would not allow him to have a second without me. So when he tells me he's not picking me up from the airport after I've been gone for a week, I'm like, we have a really big problem. We're in trouble. Ooh. There's like some sadness still there. Like, oh my God, you guys. That was so sad for us. For this like beautiful connection that now has just had this like distortion. where we just like couldn't get there. And I remember feeling so sad in the airport that I was just, have you guys just ever like in public silent cried? I've not historically done well with like showing people emotion like in person. It's like, it's always been really tough for me. My old assistant used to say like, if Andrea cries, put a bottle up to it and collect the tear and like, we're going to sell it. Because it was like such a rare thing. I look back and I'm like, how sad. How sad that was like my reputation. That was my identity. That like, I did not feel safe whatsoever to have an emotion in front of a human being. My emotions were liability according to like the inner workings of my blueprint. Like, because my blueprint says I can't need much. I give 70, they give 30. That's how love works. That's how I'm met. That's how I get enough. That's how I get enough to not be starving. But that wasn't enough to be fed. So I'm sitting in the airport. Tears are streaming down my face. My heart is breaking because I know that like we're in trouble. Like, I can read the signs. This isn't like just a he's busy thing or he has his own thing going on. That wasn't it at all. Because like, I know my man. I know my man can't live for a second without me when there's no distortion between us. He'd be at the airport no matter what, like ready to like love, cherish, like all the things. So I asked myself some really powerful questions, and these completely changed my life. I asked, do I believe I live in a friendly universe? Maybe not a friendly world. There are some very unfriendly people. But like universally, I can look at nature and I can see like there's no competition. Like there's like a divine order of things in nature. Can I look at nature and believe that I live in a friendly universe and that there is a divine order of things? Yes, I believe I live in a friendly universe. Do I believe that this man loves me? Yes. Do I believe that this man would do anything for me? Deeply, even though he wasn't showing up to pick me up at the airport, I still believed that. I know the truth of who he is, and I do believe that he would do anything for me. If I needed something, he would fucking show up. He'd put his shit aside and he would show up for me. Okay, do I believe in a friendly universe? Do I believe this man loves me? Do I believe this man would do anything for me? You can replace those three questions with do I believe in a friendly universe? Do I believe that there's a divine intelligence that loves me? Do I believe that divine intelligence would do anything for me? You can like, those can be interchangeable depending on the experience. And then, so Lucille, you said, I don't believe I live in a friendly universe. Okay, so look at nature. I'm not saying are the sensations that you experience in your body, the emotional state of your body and your experience with other people. I didn't ask if that was friendly. I'm asking you to look outside of yourself and look at the divine order of nature. Is the divine order of nature pretty flawless? Study nature for a little bit and just get curious. Just be a scientist. Like take your whole history out of like what life has been like for you and just watch nature. And tell me if then you can get to a belief that there is a divine order of things and you believe that it's friendly and well-intended. If you can get there, then we'll end up on the same page. For me, like comment below and say like, do you believe I live in a friendly universe? Just say yes or no. So great. Okay. Yes, you do. So Lucille got there with us. Great. So if we look at nature, we look at that and we're like, okay, there's a divine order of things. Like there's no competition to it. Like scientifically, it's pretty fucking perfect. Then I believe that like outside of the emotional state of being a human being, that I live in a pretty friendly universe and it's well intended. Then I can believe that maybe for myself. I can put my emotions aside and I can be like, I could probably believe that for myself too. So if I'm willing to believe that for a second, even with my emotional state, that's where things get really powerful. That's where things get really powerful. So do I believe in a friendly universe? Do I believe this man loves me? Do I believe he would do anything for me? The next thoughts I believe were delivered to me literally by the voice of God. And the thoughts were, or by my, maybe that's not true. I believe those were delivered to me from the truth of who I know myself to be, the truths that I believe beyond my trauma. There's truth, there's trauma. There's truth, there's trauma. Truth, trauma. My truth was, I started to ask myself, so maybe he is right now in this exact moment loving me and doing anything for me. And when I sat there, I started to think, okay, if that's true, if he's doing anything for me and this universe is friendly and this universe is delivering something that is in the highest interest of my soul's evolution, of my evolution as a human being, then what would I know? Then what would I see? Then what would I hear? And I started tapping into the ache that I had felt in my chest around him not picking me up. Because when I looked at my values and I'm like, what do I believe about relationships? I believe in this point in my life that I want him to follow his heart. And if his heart says he should be here instead of picking me up from the airport, do I want him to be there instead of picking me up from the airport? The answer was a resounding yes. I actually want him to be where his heart is guiding me to go. Even if I don't like it, I still respect it and I still desire for him to follow. I don't want a people pleaser, man. Raise your hand if you're like, people pleasing energy eventually leads to resentment and I don't want it. Don't people please me. People pleasing is a gift wrapped in future resentment. Future resentment. Somebody will resent you if they keep doing things just for you and just for you and just for you and just for you. Eventually they'll fucking hate your guts. The relationship will be over, right? So I made my man promise me from the beginning, do not people please me. Only say yes if you want it. If you want it. I promise I'll give that to you. You promise you give that to me. Great. We have a great foundation to start with in our relationship. So why was I so upset he wasn't picking me up from the airport if he's following his heart? Because I knew he wasn't following his heart. I knew that that's not what was happening. And so what I did is I tapped into like, then why am I so hurt? Why do I feel this deep ache inside of my chest right now? I feel not just sad, I feel profoundly sad. Here's what I know about trauma and triggers. Trauma and triggers, you'll be able to, you'll notice them and identify them based off of if the emotional response is inadequate to what's happening. My man wasn't picking me up from the airport. I had profound sadness. It felt like grief. So I started asking myself, why am I feeling grief? Because he's not picking me up from the airport. If he wants to be somewhere else, he should be somewhere else, and I'm happy with that. I know we'll come together later. Like, if I'm not triggered, then like, I don't actually care where he is. I know I'll see him eventually. And when I see him, like, we'll love on each other and it will be amazing. And it will be like a love that freezes time as long as I'm not triggered. Right. But that's not how I felt. I was like, oh, this emotion is not an adequate response to what's actually happening, which means it's old blueprint. I went months not being able to clock it because what was happening is like the emotional state that was coming up was so subtle. It was like a little irritation, a little feeling of unmet, a little feeling of being unseen, a little feeling of this, because they were so subtle. It was just like a paper cut. Right? You don't run to the surgeon and be like, sew me up, doc, because you have a paper cut, right? But get 1,000 of them. They're called micro triggers. And what they were doing was like they were building up and I wasn't seeing the pattern. And the pattern started exactly when I moved in because my blueprint says, be less for love. And then what was happening was my emotional state was braced and reserved. So here's what I didn't realize at the time is that we send I knew it, but I never thought about it scientifically, right? Like we all know what it's like to be in the room with somebody who's like holding back, right? If somebody's upset, like we sense it, right? We're like, what's up? Your vibe's off, right? Especially women. We're like, what's going on here? Tell me. Like we know something's wrong. If someone's lying, we're a human lie detector. Right? If somebody's sad and they're telling us that they're not, human lie detector, right? We know exactly what's going on at all point in time. And part of that is because as human beings, we emit nonverbal biological cues. Whenever somebody says your vibes speak louder than words, what they mean is like scientifically and biologically, we are sending nonverbal cues all day long, every 0.2 seconds. Every 0.2 seconds, we're emitting nonverbal biological cues that inform people either lean in and away, lean in and away, lean in and away. Every time my man had said before, your tone, and I was like, what do you mean? I'm controlling my tone so much. What I didn't clock was that he was basically telling me, you've left your heart. He was just telling me, you've left your heart. When I got the message, I was like, okay, head is fear, head is a record of the past. Heart is a record of now. Heart is a record of truth. Heart is even a record of future. Heart understands present and future. And if your energy is squeaky clean, you can like play out a couple timelines and you're like essentially this freaking, and I call it like future fluent. Like you're future fluent. If you have super, super squeaky clean energy around something, and you're like, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, maybe I'm going to do this, this, and this. There's no fear corrupting the field. You'll know right away exactly which timeline to pick, right? It's future fluent. You get future fluent by being able to accurately read what's happening in the present. You can only do that if you're staying in the heart. The second you're triggered, you go back into your head, right? So what he heard was the tone in my voice was now emitting fear. The nonverbal biological cue is tone, face, meaning your eyes get narrow if you're afraid, they're soft if you're safe. Your jaw gets clenched if you're afraid, soft if you're safe. And then posture and heart. So we emit this field. I can't remember how far the field reaches, but we emit this field that either sends a coherent heart. What is the word that I'm thinking of? Like, your heart either sends this like coherent signal. Thank you, brain. Either a coherent signal or an incoherent signal. If you're in a state of stress, even a small state of stress, even a little bit of irritation, your heart starts to send an incoherent signal. People feel it. So here's what happens is I'm still sending the signal where I'm like starting to grit my teeth. I'm getting mad. I'm feeling unseen. And he's like, your tone. And I'm like, fuck you. If you call out my tone one more time, sir, if you call out my tone one more time, like I'm getting pissed. And the entire time I'm like, oh my fucking God, he was telling me. So here's what happened. Here's what the person on the other end starts to receive. As soon as we're in a state of stress, we send that incoherent signal, which basically means we've armored up. Now we're playing defense. So they read our nonverbal biological cues and they're like, she's armored, now I'm armored, right? Like heart wall goes up. And if you lead that, like you're going to send, they don't know what's happening. They don't know why. They don't know why all of a sudden they can't be in their heart, why they can't connect to you, why they can't feel that like love, devotion, and cherish. And he kept saying that to me. He's like, I want to feel that way about you. I don't know why I can't right now. I want to so bad. And I'm looking at him and I'm hearing that like hurt more. I'm like, great. So you want to, you just won't. That's what I was thinking he meant. You want to, but you won't. The truth is that he wanted to, but because my heart wall was up, I was guarded. I was playing defense. I was playing not to lose instead of playing to win. His did too, because what I was saying non-verbally is, I don't trust you. I don't trust this. I don't trust us, and I don't trust me. I had no idea that the majority of my communication was, I don't trust you, I don't trust this, I don't trust us, and I don't trust me. I led the repair and our conflict with my guard up, sending his up too. And then guess what happened? Like happens for most of us. Stalemate over and over and over. It's like I'm saying one thing, he's not able to hear me. He says it, I'm not able to hear him. Stalemate, stalemate, stalemate. There was just like, we could never fully get there to like a total resolve. And it was costing us. Finally, we get to the point where we're just like, let's see if we can just get over this. We'll go to sleep, we'll wake up, and we'll see if we can do this differently tomorrow. But it was like, just eating at me, because when you're just like, when you don't have clean energy with someone anymore. And this is how relationships end up being completed, is because you have enough of those moments where you hit those stalemates and you're just like, I don't see a way through this, so let's just move on, because you don't know how to do anything but that. And then it's like plaque in an artery. Build up, build up, build up, build up, until eventually there is a dramatic event that says this relationship has died. It sucks. And there are so many beautiful relationships that don't have to go there, personally and professionally. In this case, once I saw the pattern and I realized, like, wait, if I can choose to not emit those biological cues that put my heart wall up, then what would be different? Then what could we do? I used to think that I needed to say things differently and I needed to say them quieter. When he said your tone, right? I was like, I can't get any quieter than this or you're not going to be able to hear me. I'm getting mad because I'm not yelling at you, but you're still not listening to me. He wasn't able to even listen to me because my wall went up and so did his. Nobody can hear shit when your heart wall is up. You're not able to actually receive truth. So let me fast forward and tell you like the miracle that happened after I figured this out before I tell you how. So next time we have a little bit of a distortion and I'm like, I need to tell him how I feel about this. I go through the process I'm going to tell you. I get my body to a point where I know I am so okay. No matter how this goes, I'm so okay. I had no guard up whatsoever. And then I was able to say what I wanted to say. I said it vulnerably from the middle of my heart. I was like, I will not close my heart. Why? Because I started understanding myself and I created a sense of trust with myself. Before, I didn't trust myself to keep my heart open because I didn't trust myself to be okay no matter what. Once I restored trust in myself, and I restored that trust through understanding biologically what was happening in the first place, and then creating the steps that I'll tell you guys about next on what to do with it, I trusted myself so profoundly to stay in the middle of my heart, even when it was aching, even when I was like, I am sad, I feel hurt. And then I would express to him, saying nearly the same things, like the words didn't really change much, but my tone changed because my tone wasn't playing defense anymore. I didn't have a wall over my heart. I wasn't blocking this coherent signal. When my signal was like, I'm still here. I trust myself. I trust us. I trust this situation and I trust you. His heart stayed open too. And he was able to hear everything that I said, even though I was crying saying it. Like I was sad. There was emotion, but it wasn't defensive emotion. It wasn't like you need to change the situation so that I know I'm okay, because I had total sovereignty in the moment and I knew I was fucking okay no matter what. Raise your hand if you're like, I'm really starting to get where maybe I had some paths that I went down that were like maybe not so useful. I trust myself, I trust this, I trust us, and I trust you. But you have to believe that. Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. So when people talk about alignment, what does that mean? It simply just means that your spiritual body, your energetic, or your mental body, your emotional body, and your physical body all agree on one thing. They all agree on exactly what's happening, and they have this internal sense of, I trust myself, I trust this situation, no matter the outcome, I trust that I can handle this. That sense of belief and self-trust is the most precious thing on this planet that exists. It will help you in any political environment, in any financial environment, whatever is going on financially with the economy, whatever is going on with work, whatever is going on with, like, if your income is going up and down in your business, like, if you have that level of sovereignty, if you have that level of alignment between all four of those, like spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, locked in, game over. Game over. Your roots grow so deep into the earth that nothing can shake you. And when you have that level of depth and then presence, once I figured this out and I started like following these steps that I'm talking about with you guys today, my level of presence with people shifted so dramatically. My intrusive thoughts, like, psh, like, bye. I was like, all of my intrusive thoughts used to be like, I'm not safe. I got to figure this out. I got to like make sure that we're okay. He and I are okay. Like, and it was just like, it just wiped me out. I was hardly able to, again, like to be able to focus on my business. Then the intrusive thoughts were just like, we're not needed here anymore because you have this like sovereign sense of safety that is so deep and so unshakable that your mind wasn't, inner mind wasn't sending them to like protect me and move me away from any like lack of safety, because safety was within. I took my safety with me. I take my safety with me. So then we have a biological process called entrainment. Entrainment essentially means that the person in the room with the most coherent heart, meaning that have that like that true sense of alignment and sovereignty between those four bodies, and they're in their heart, and they have essentially like the smoothest heartbeat of like, I trust you, I trust us, I trust the situation, I trust myself. When you have that like sense of like trust, that sense of self-trust, you have a presence that I call the spine of a queen. This presence can't be ignored. It can't be looked away from. It is mesmerizing, because almost, especially during moments of conflict, where like almost no one achieves this level of presence because they just don't know how. They just don't know how. They don't even know what's happening. They don't know what's going on in their body. They don't know why it is. And so all they do is they look outside of themselves and they say, that's the problem. Anything out there, that's the problem. But when you look within and you're like, no, I bring my safety with me. You have that sense of sovereignty aligned in like all four of those energetic bodies. Your presence is so palpable. It's like people can taste you. They can't look away. They don't want to. They want to lean in. Biologically, you're like, we are safe here. You represent homeostasis. That's why some people come, like when you meet them and you have that sense of safety within yourself, they're like, you feel like home. What they mean is like, you have those four energy bodies aligned right now, and I sense your homeostasis, and we are all starving for it. We're starving for it. So when you bring that sense of safety into conflict, the other person, their armor goes down, and they all, again, this is called entrainment. So like when you have the most coherent heart in the room, you co-regulate everyone to you. We do this with children. If like a child like gets their toy stolen, or like they like get a boo-boo on their knee, or like whatever, like we don't cry with them, right? Like our internal sense of safety isn't rocked. And so we co-regulate the child to our internal sense of safety. I see your heart. I'm with you. I'm here. We'll get through this together, right? And they don't just hear you, they feel you. This is the woman who is felt. This is the woman that we trust to lead. This is the woman that we can't look away from. This is the woman who has the most intense magnetism that exists on freaking planet Earth, because she has no sense of lack. She can't even feel it. She can look at her income going up and down, and she's like, I am good. I trust me. I trust us. I trust the situation. She's so locked in and rock solid that when she doesn't spin out, she sees all solutions in front of her. Now we're looking at a woman who is able to be a vessel for innovation, be a vessel for resolve, be a vessel for connection, be a vessel for love. When we go to share something with someone and we're like, okay, I have to tell this person the truth about something, what oftentimes we try to do is we try to make it more palatable for them. We're like, oof, I don't want to like hurt them, so let me just like water it down a little bit, and then people feel it, right? Again, they feel your defensiveness. You're not defensive as in like, you're like, I'm right, you're wrong. But your defense is up of like, I don't feel okay if they're not okay, so let me make sure they're okay by like watering this down. But the spine of a queen, she has that internal sense of safety no matter what. And so she is like this clear vessel for like the right thing to say. And she knows it's the right thing because she feels her spine straight. You don't actually have to have a straight spine, but you feel when you're in truth. So how did like this language started coming to me is because like when my man and I were having distortion and he would like be upset at me for something, all of a sudden one day I started hearing, correct your spine. He'd be like upset at me for something and I would start to make myself smaller, and I started to notice, I'm like, you're making yourself less. When did you become the woman that accepted bare minimum? Kings don't want less of us. They want the truthful part of us. People who are in their power don't want us to be less. They want us to be true. They don't want us to be less. They want us to be true. What he was calling me out on the whole time with my tone was, you're not being true. You're making yourself less, or you're bracing to like insert your authority of like, you will see me, or you'll see my ass walking out that door, right? Like, that's not true authority. Authority doesn't need to speak that loud. Authority just speaks with fucking certainty. Authority speaks with truth. Fully, completely, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And it is felt. So here I am now able to say anything to him. Before I was like, okay, let me get my list out. How do I say this? Like conflict resolution 101, gottmaninstitute.com, or like whatever the website is. Like how do I do this? Help, AI help, like somebody help me. All I had to do was, here are the 4 things that I started doing. Number 1, before I would initiate creating a resolution with someone, I would play out the conversation first, and I would look for collapse. Where do I collapse my spine? So I would play out and I would be like, where does my shoulder just go? It's so little. You barely notice it. But I started noticing where it's like gets smaller, because that's how you receive love. And then I would correct my posture first. No, I won't receive love that way. And I started saying less. I would listen to him. I wouldn't respond. I would just take it in. And what I noticed is the first passive emotion that was coming up was my old blueprint. It was like what I call this Princess OS. It's essentially like our girlhood blueprint that says, this is who I am, this is what I can get, and this is how I get it. It's our identity blueprint. It's our girlhood identity blueprint. So I call it Princess OS, or Princess Operating System. My Princess Operating System is mostly a flawed way of receiving love, because I didn't have this like sense of divine intelligence that I was like really accessing. It was just, this is what the world tells me I can have, versus this is the truth of who I am. So Princess OS, not super helpful. She collapsed for love. She made herself smaller. And then when she wasn't going to make herself any smaller anymore, she got loud. She drew boundaries. She braced, and she said, this is how it works for me, or you're fucking out. Right? Again, playing not to lose. Have you guys ever told someone like, if we can't do this, like, we're going to have to complete this relationship? And it was like a desperation of, but please do it. because I'm so afraid of who I'll be if I do have to lose this relationship. Name one time where that ultimatum has ever worked out for you. I have no evidence personally. If you do, I'd love to hear it. I just don't have access to any in my 20-year relationship. I used that one over and over, like, please, 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 beg, beg, beg. I either begged or I braced. I begged, I braced. Never worked out for me. So I'm hearing these words and it's like, correct your spine, correct your spine. So first of all, I changed my posture, literally. Second of all, I breathed and I noticed I started playing out the different paths of like, okay, I could do this and this could happen. I could do this and this could happen. I could say this and this could happen. And I started looking for the areas where my body was like, whoa, if that happens, we're not okay. If that happens, we might be okay. If that happens, fuck my life. And when I started doing this, I was like, oh, there's a blueprint problem here. Queen OS, or your queen operating system, I call it spine of a queen, or your queen operating system, says I'm okay no matter what. So then I was like, okay, so how do I get from Princess OS to Queen OS, where like she's fucking not okay in any of these scenarios? She's like bracing, collapsing, making herself smaller for love in order to receive love, be less, and then you can get some. Queen OS is like, I will be met because this is where I am, and this is where you'll meet me because this is who I know you to be. Queen OS says, like, you will rise to meet me, not because I drew a boundary, but because this is who I am and this is who you are. She does it from a place of love and reverence. True and absolute love and fucking reverence. When people feel that love and that reverence from you, you can say almost anything to them because we're not afraid of you telling us the truth. When you say it from love, we're afraid of loss on the other side of that truth. We're afraid that we'll lose the connection. So we make ourselves smaller to preserve the connection, when in reality, again, it's the plaque buildup, heart attack, relationship, dead. That's a guaranteed way to lose love. Personally or professionally. I don't know about you guys, but like my team members are like the loves of my life. I don't want to lose that. But what if we want them to meet us there, but they can't? Such a great question. The Queen says, I'll be okay no matter what, and either path you take is sacred. We don't expect that someone is going to be able to meet us there, meet us then, because our sense of safety and we go back to those core beliefs of, do I believe I live in a friendly universe? Do I believe there's a divine intelligence that loves me? Do I believe that divine intelligence would do anything for me? So maybe it is. So then we apply that here and we're like, maybe the best thing for our soul and our evolution and our growth is for our relationship as it is, for this relationship of us to die. That was the choice that I made in my marriage. I don't know. Had I known what I know now, what I'm telling you guys about now, do I know for sure my marriage would have ended? I don't. I really don't. I do believe that there's like, when I met Keith, I knew that like we had karma. I knew that we had a love that pre-existed this life. So like, I think that I had a divine appointment to have 20 years with this person and then have the rest of my life with this person, right? And our relationship, Keith and I, is like, again, it's that love that freezes time, because now I understand biologically what's going on and I know exactly how to create that sense of safety within myself. When I feel safe, people move in. When I don't feel safe, guards go up, people move away. Now, that doesn't mean there's not personal responsibility on both people's side, right? Like, but have you guys ever thought like, God, I wish my husband would just read this book, or I wish my man would just read this book, or like listen to this masterclass? Raise your hand if you're like, oh, I know I'm going to send this masterclass to after this. Thinking like they need to get this. That's your Princess OS. That's not Queen OS. Queen OS is like, they'll get it in their time. They'll get what's theirs in their time. And no matter what path they take, all paths are sacred. How do you learn to feel safe within yourself? Yeah, so like, number one, I believe that the first sense of safety starts to be caused by understanding the body, by understanding how we work. And you guys have just gotten a heavy dose of understanding just now, like just since we started just a little bit ago. So now once I understand like, oh, that first passive emotion is my old blueprint, I won't respond from there. So here's what we do is like if you work with me personally, if you guys are in spine of a queen, what I will be doing is over the course of 12 months, starting January through December of next year, in real time, I will be updating your triggers. We will be updating old blueprint into new blueprint. By the end of the new blueprint, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to need new messaging because you're going to be a different person. We're going to work on that. I'm bringing a messaging expert in at the end of the year because I'm like, these women are going to be brand fucking shiny new, and they're just going to have a new vernacular, a new sense of the world, a new sense of like safety, a new sense of being, and they're just going to need new messaging. So we'll bring a messaging expert in by the end of the year. If you're not working with me where I'm updating that blueprint, then like you start studying like identity blueprint and triggers and like like trauma work and wherever it is that you're guided, but like check in with your heart and like just follow where you're guided. We're not going to like go super deep into that right now. That is work that I do with people. I have a like a self-led program where I'll be doing that work for you, and then I have the in-depth program Spine of a Queen where I'll be doing that work with 25 women in 2026. Okay, so here's what happens. If you feel that first passive emotion when something comes up and you're like, I have this internal safety that I can't seem to grab. First of all, don't move from that space. The queen knows this will pass. She doesn't move from it. She wants to update it. She doesn't want it to keep coming up over and over and over. But for the moment, she might just breathe through it and acknowledge it for what it is. Oh, so Princess OS is essentially like, it's like an earlier version of ourselves that's like, hey, I've been guarding the castle for a minute. I'm tired of guarding the castle. Can you let me off duty so I can go play? So when I feel that sense of like, oh, in my body, I just imagine like a little girl being like, please, I want to go play. Please let me off duty. I've been guarding the castle. I shouldn't be here. You should be the one doing this. So I step into my queen energy and I'm like, girl, I got you. And I just might put my hands on my body and be like, I hear you. I'm with you. I see you. I've got you. If I'm in the middle of a conversation with my man, I might do that and be like, I just need a second. I'm like feeling a sensation coming up. I just need to be with it for a second. People might think that's weird, but they will thank you later because if you don't respond from it, it doesn't get pointed at them. That's when people wall up. They're like, they just fucking threw their emotions at me. They just like sent an energetic dart. Oof, that hurt. So let me wall up and now nothing happens. But if you can give yourself a beat, get present with yourself and be like, I've got you. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to clear that trigger. I'm going to like let that princess off duty so she can go play so that this doesn't keep happening over and over. Then you have that greater sense of self-trust and your like queen energy already starts to engage. That spine already starts to get taller because you're like, I trust myself. I know I'm going to take care of myself. I know I've got that, which means I can trust this situation more again. So if you start to feel that brace again, we're like, okay, if I say this, now in the middle of a conversation with someone, I'll say what I'm about to say in my head first, and I'll notice how I feel in my body. If I feel braced, I'm either trying to control or protect. So I don't say it. Don't say it. Because again, if you're trying to control or protect, your defenses are up. You're basically signaling, I'm not safe, we're not safe, I don't trust us, I don't trust this. And then their wall goes up too. You might feel that wall start to come up, and if you breathe through it and get to the other side of it, and you can stay in your heart even while afraid. Again, this is the most elite level of leadership skill anyone can learn ever. Be in your heart and afraid at the same time. What? I call this checkmate, motherfucker. You've just won the game. You've just won the game. But you've got to breathe through emotion first. It's when you respond from like that sense of like, I'm not seen, see me comes up, right? You just biologically triggered them to put their wall up. Nothing happens. Nobody wins. Nobody gets anywhere. Stalemate over and over and over. That's what Keith and I were getting at. Is like, are we ever going to be able to get through the stalemate? The person who understands themselves the best will be the person that leads the emotional tone of the room. Again, it's entrainment, like your heart coherence. If you can keep yourself in a coherent heart, that internal sense of safety, you will biologically regulate them to you, even if you're not in the same room, even if you're on the phone, even if you're texting. I've done this through all of them. Any form of communication, I've done it. And like entrainment works no matter what. Because when you say things and you don't say it to control. So let's say, for example, I wrote a few lessons down. Like if you're like, let me say this carefully so that they don't have an emotion about it, that's control. If you're like, let me cry so that they see how much this is hurting me so that they'll reflect to me that I'm okay, that's also control. If you're crying just because that's what's coming up and you're like, I just trust myself to express this, not control. That's called vulnerability. But if you're using tears to try to get them to create the external sense of safety, that's control. That's manipulation. We've all done it. Don't pretend you haven't. Okay, I'm not gonna like sit out here on the ledge alone, come up below and be like, yeah, I've used tears to try to elicit a different response from someone. We all have. Because that's what we learned from little kids. We're like, if I cry, people will lean in. But it doesn't restore the connection. There's still a distortion in the connection. But if you cry because you're like, holy shit, this thing is coming up and I don't know what to do with this, and you're just existing in it in front of someone and they see that in you. The first time my man saw that in me, he like ran up and grabbed me and he's like, give me all of that. And he just held me and he let me cry until the deepest part of me from maybe like the age of 2 was crying in his arms. Because it wasn't to get him to do anything. It was to set myself free. When you do anything if you initiate any form of communication in order to get them to do something, you're in a state of control. You've lost the field of connection. You've just distorted the field. You just threw mud in it. Then you're going to have to clean that up. You're like, I can think of a time. Yeah, once or twice. Okay, so defensively, your biological triggers send all these nonverbal cues that say, I'm not safe, I don't trust you, I don't trust us, I don't trust the situation. And so if you're defensive, they go defensive. If you were able to stay in your heart while afraid, you hold the connection open. From this place, you can say anything. If you say anything from the center of your heart, simply just to express, not to control what they'll do next, you can say anything. There is no script. There's no script. There's no like, this is masculine and feminine communication. There's no like Gottman Institute of like, here, like the 7 steps to conflict resolution. They don't exist. They're rendered useless. And this is the most efficient way to resolve conflict that exists on planet Earth. Because what we're all afraid of is what we fear when connection is lost. We are all, like, there are 3 core fears. I worked with thousands of women over the years, thousands of women. The 3 core universal fears that keep us shrinking in order to receive anything are either I'm not worthy, I'm not capable, or if I do, I'll lose connection, I'll lose love. I said, when my husband treats me well, I start thinking I have to repay him or treat him well back in order to get him to keep doing it, and it always creates not great energy. Exactly. Okay. So your perception of reciprocity is like who does more, when in reality, what a man wants from us or what anybody wants you want to know why they don't like that? Because then we give back and then they feel that sense of pressure of like, now we have to keep one-upping each other. Then it's just like pressure, 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 guard, 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 defense, 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 because our mind is like, we only have so many resources. We're about to be out. We can't keep doing this. We can't keep stacking like that, right? So here's how you actually return and you restore reciprocity when he does something for you. With your whole heart and whole presence, you look him in the eyes and you say, thank you. When we do this in the beginning, when we meet someone, we're like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're so good at that. And we're so present. We're so present with each other. It's like the world doesn't exist. Keith and I were just talking about, we didn't watch a single show for like the first 6 months of our relationship. We like didn't watch TV together because we were just so present with each other, right? Eventually that presence starts to go away and we get distracted. And then it's like, we notice what the other person doesn't do, for sure. But we stop noticing what they do. When you get so present, like my man and I are both so good at this. Like what the one of the very first things that we did beyond this to restore our relationship was restore our appreciation of each other. It was like, oh my God, you made me coffee this morning. Thank you. Versus like, I know you're going to make me coffee. You kind of expect it now. But like going back to being like, baby, you really think of me. Thank you. If you guys spent one day around us, you would just be like, I'm gonna throw the fuck up. Because we thank each other so much. Like you can't overdo it. But we don't just say, thanks, babe. We get into our whole body, like mind, body, spirit, and then we say thank you. When you say thank you from like the mushy, gushy part of your heart, it is euphoric to the other person. They want nothing else. You just gave them the thing they can't give themselves. You could like one up your husband and be like, oh, I'm going to make coffee, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. You would do that, but they can also do that for themselves, right? But the thing that they can't give themselves is to see themselves, as to see them and to see their heart reflected in someone else's eyes. That is the gift that we get to give each other. I make great money. I can buy myself whatever I want. Like if my man buys me a gift, I'm super thankful, but not because of what he bought, but because of who he was when he did it. Like, wow, you took time, you paused, like you're running a company, you have like 2 whole fucking careers happening at the same time, and you paused and you made me coffee. You left your office and you came to give me a hug, to say I missed you. How are you? Like when we show up and we give each other even just like a little bit of presence, we look each other in the eye and we're like, I love you. Thank you. Thank you and then we get specific. Like, thank you for looking me in the eyes. Thank you for loving me so much. Thank you for kissing me so tenderly. Thank you for like, I swear to God, you guys would throw up if you guys heard how we thank each other. And I swear it's like, it is between the work that I just told you about what happens when like your old blueprint of all your triggers and like, I have to like shrink, brace, or defend in order to receive love. Like that has to get updated. That has to get updated. But in the meantime, a way to stay connected while you're healing, while you're updating that identity, is gratitude. Specific, fully present in your goddamn heart. Say thank you. A part of me is scared that when I say thank you, it will go away. That sounds crazy. What will go away? The moment will. All we ever have is now, 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 now. You get to recreate it. You get to do it again. Right? Like it will, because again, every 0.2 seconds, we are sending biological cues that either tell people to open up or wall up, open up or wall up, lean in, lean away, lean in, lean away. We're doing it on the internet. We're doing it with our clients. We're doing it with our team. We're doing it with our lover. We're doing it with our children. We're doing it with everyone. Like you have a non-biological cue that's getting sent every 0.2 seconds to anybody who's in your space. So how the moment just was will go away. Then you bring your conscious choice, your self-understanding, your self-trust, your presence to the present moment, and you look for like, what is there to appreciate here? Not from a place of like fake gratitude, of like, I'm just trying to convince myself I'm okay, but like, look for something you can really mean. Look for something you can really fucking mean. As human beings, let's get back to the topic of conflict, and then I'm going to close this out. As human beings, like, we're actually not afraid of somebody telling us a difficult truth. So if somebody comes to me and they're like, Andrea, you weren't totally in integrity when you and I did this together. Like, you were being less of you, and I felt that. You said you were telling me the truth, but I felt less of you in the room, and that wasn't your truth. If that person says it with their heart completely open, I'm completely disarmed, and then I can hear it, and I want to hear that. We're not, as human beings, afraid of the truth. We're afraid of what the truth might cost us. But if you're leading a conversation like that and you've kept your heart open, and that internal sense of safety is, I trust you, I trust us, I trust the situation, I trust myself, we don't trigger that fear of loss, and then that person has the chance to hear you. They might not hear you in the second. But again, like, that spine of a queen is whatever path you take from here is sacred. If you're like, I want to do something with this information, sacred. If you're like, I want to sit in this shit for a little bit longer and suffer a little bit longer, also sacred. That doesn't mean we have to sit in it with them or next to them. Spine of a queen is like, what's my truth? Where do I need to be? The spine of a queen like taps into her heart, and she lets her heart lead, and her heart takes all beings into consideration at all times. Our head only takes ourselves into consideration. Am I okay? Am I safe? Like, our head is like, it's that primal, like, it's that primal sense of safety plus the record of the past, right? But like, when we're in our heart, have the internal sense of safety everywhere we go, and we take all beings into consideration. And what might be right for all beings is for, like, have you guys ever heard the metaphor of the butterfly? Like, the caterpillar creates this cocoon around itself. It lives inside the cocoon and eventually comes out as a butterfly. But a part of the experience of building its wings is the struggle of getting out. So if we try to clip the cocoon, we clip the wings as well. The caterpillar never becomes a butterfly. So like, there is that sense of like, there has to be like a struggle in order to open ourselves up and to be that next more free version of ourselves. So if we're like, ooh, I need to make sure that we're okay, so let me just like help you too much, we clip wings. It's well-intended, but still fucked up. Well-intended, but still fucked up. So don't. Be okay here first, and then let them go down any path that is the path for them, even if that means they struggle for a little bit longer. And I'm saying this from somebody who has an addict mother who's in the ER right now because she overdosed again. Like, this is not an easy thing for me to say. It's not something where it's like been an easy thing for me to execute. Like, seeing that someone that I like love very much choosing a path for themselves that's like just really harmful. But it is the path of like, I trust her and her path and what she chose for this life. I trust her enough not to control it. I trust myself enough to know when to engage, when to support, and then when to move away, and when to like watch them do their thing, whatever that is. If you guys want support in the, in shifting your biology around how you experience conflict, there comes a point when you update your blueprint enough around, I can have conflict and I'm safe, I can have conflict and I'm safe, and you start to shift blueprints from, again, that Princess OS to the Queen OS operating system, where you just go into it and you're like, I know I'm okay. And even if the conflict isn't resolved on the other side, and you're like, okay, I said what my heart said to do, you can go on with your life. You're not like spinning out and obsessing over it, right? Like, that's what's possible That's the sense of like sovereignty that I exist in today, that I didn't even exist in 3 months ago. Once I saw the pattern, I'm like, oh, I know how to execute this, and I know how to do it really, really quickly. I know how to change an identity blueprint. I just didn't see the pattern because I was living in the fucking body. Now that I can see the pattern, I've been like shifting identity, updating the blueprint over and over and over and over to where I can like watch someone misunderstand me. I can watch someone be upset. And my sense of safety is always fine. But I've just found that most of the time, the conflict resolves itself really, really quickly. I just taught this to my 19-year-old stepdaughter. And for the first time ever, she like dealt with some like pre-existing conflict that had just been like piling up, like plaque was building. It was concerning for her and like this particular person that she cares about. And she called me up on the phone while I was at an event, and she's like, Andrea, how do I hold the spine of a queen right now? I'm really upset. It was like, my heart just melted. I was like, are you kidding me? It was like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in like a young child, like Dana and Dylan, like Keith's daughter and my daughter, just like, they're just like these open, like so willing and so open. And I was like, okay, here's what to do. We like updated the blueprint, sent her into the conversation. She had her divine assignment. And she saw me again later that night, and she like went up to me, tears streaming down her face, and she's like, it worked. If I can do this with a 19-year-old, I can do this with anyone. A 19-year-old kid, especially a Leo fire sign. I can do this with anyone. So Spine of a Queen, we have 25 spots. We are enrolling right now. If you're like, okay, you know what? I want to hold that level of sovereignty to where I know my internal sense of safety creates external like miracles. I want that for myself. So over the course of a year, we're going to basically begin to embody, number one, the art of divine timing, where like we don't force momentum. We look and we find the momentum that's pre-existing and we build upon that. So like life just gets easier. We don't force things anymore, but we learn the signs for divine timing, and then we play in that field. Then we have integrating the biology of the magnetic woman, which is exactly what I'm talking about right now, moving from Princess OS to Queen OS. Then we have that like future fluent like skill that we learn where you're so clean, your energy is so clear that you're able to play out different timelines and you know exactly which one is for you and you don't fucking doubt. Even if the world isn't responding right away with like, with a reflection of like, it's working, you don't care. Cause you're like, I already know it's working. I already fucking know it's working. You are like so future fluent that you're like, this is the timeline. I'm moving forward. I'm within the timeline. And this is the timeline that plays out and works well for me. And you know exactly what is the path for you. And then we have that like vessel for innovation. Like your mind is so clear that like you have the most innovative thoughts processes. Like in a world of AI where everybody has access to so much information, it's like that critical thinker and that innovative thinker is going to be the woman that rises to the surface that leads other people. So when we work on those 4 things with like the divine timing, that fluent future, the integrating the biology of the magnetic woman, which is also the woman that like de-armors people, de-armors herself, de-armors other people, and is able to cause people to lean in to be able to co-create together. And then we have that like vessel for innovation where like you're not dealing with all of those intrusive thoughts on a regular basis anymore of like, I'm not good enough, or I can't get love, I can't get met this way. And you're just like, I just fucking am. Spine of the Queen is like, I just fucking am. Like that is what we're installing over the course of 12 months, integrating into every little nuanced area of your life. Like I said, you'll need new messaging by the end of the year because you're going to be a different person. This is a $25,000 investment. It is a year commitment, and I'm doing the majority of the work for you. So like you enter my container, you lean back, and like I give you the scalp massage and like the blowout and all the things. I'm not asking you to cut your own hair. Like I'm the person who handles that for you. You enter the container and I handle the work, but like you enjoy watching the integration happen and that like sovereign spine of the Queen just start to become your natural state of being of how you exist in the world. If you guys want information on this, just DM me the word spine. We begin in January, but like I said, we're already enrolling and there's limited spots. So we close as soon as all the spots are full. And then if you guys want access to listen to this again, it's going to be on my podcast. I love you guys. If you're like, man, I know somebody that could really use this conversation right now, remember, sharing is caring. Hit that share button, send someone a message, but don't just say, hey, listen to this, you'll love it. Tell them why, because our most precious resource right now is not money, it's time. And so if you're like, this could really change this person's life by them hearing this information, tell them why, specifically from your heart, why you believe that this would be of great value for them in their life, and they will be forever grateful. And yes, this will be safe. But like I said, it's probably just like the easiest path will be to make sure you subscribe to the podcast. DM me the word podcast if you guys are not already subscribed. I love you. Please rate and review our podcast as well. Thank you guys. Have an amazing night.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of More Live. But you already know the conversation doesn't end here. In fact, if you check the show notes, you will see that there's a link where you can essentially leave us a voicemail. You can comment on today's episode, tell us what was your mic drop moment, and you can also ask questions. Your audio might be featured on a future More Live episode. So also, if something in today's episode really hit home with you, share it. Think about somebody who might need to hear that. And you guys already know, I love chatting with you guys in the DMs. So come over to Instagram, slide into my DMs, and tell me what hit hardest today. I want to hear from you. And if you want to keep this energy going, you already know, let's make this official. Subscribe, leave a review, and let's turn this shit into a movement, because you know, the more live you feel, the more live the world becomes.